I'd like to call the Flint Board of Education special board meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Board members, as I call your name, please reply present for the public record. Diana Wright.
Present.
Betty Ramsdell. Betty.
Unmute yourself, Betty.
Betty. I'll come back to Betty. Danny Green.
Present.
Okay,
Miss
present.
Mac. There we go, Betty.
Sorry
Carol
about
McIntosh.
Present.
Vera Perry.
Here. Present.
Blake Sturgeon. Absent. And I myself am present. At this time, the board will hear any comments from the public. Members of the public are reminded that the Board of Education, by its bylaw 1370, is not under obligation to answer questions, make statements, or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such issues will be referred to the interim superintendent for investigation, study, or recommendation. Stephen, are there any comments from the public?
Good evening. There are currently no questions from the public on here or in the email.
Okay, the community is reminded that they may submit their questions by email to fboe@flintschools.org to have their questions read at the next meeting. Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it. At this time, I will seek a motion and a second to go into closed session to meet with the board attorney to receive attorney-client confidential information.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. When I call your name, please say yes or no to go into closed session. Diana Wright?
Yes.
Betty Ramsdell?
Yes.
Treasurer Green?
Yes.
Carol McIntosh?
Yes.
Vera Perry?
Yes.
Blake Strozier? I didn't know if he popped in or not. And then myself is a yes. The motion passes 6-0. We're now in closed session. You must close GoToWebinar and go into the private Zoom meeting invite you received from Monica. We will return here after we come out of closed session.
Okay.
All right, I would like to call the Board of Education regular board meeting to order at 7:13 p.m. Board members, as I call your name, please reply present for the public record. Vice President Wright?
Present.
Secretary Ramsdell? Treasurer Green?
Present.
Trustee McIntosh?
Present.
Trustee Perry?
Present.
Trustee Strozier? Myself, Casey Lester. Secretary Ramsdell, have you joined us? Trustee Strozier, you made it back in? Okay, we still have a quorum. Before we begin tonight's meeting, please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready? I pledge allegiance.
Sorry, yes, I am ready. I didn't know if we all said it at once.
And
I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance. Oh, okay.
Allegiance
I
to
pledge
the
allegiance
flag
To the
to the
flag.
United States of America,
republic for which it stands, one nation,
one nation,
under God,
Under God. Indivisible.
indivisible,
God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
liberty and justice for all.
I kind of got it in.
The hardest part doing that via Zoom is that there's a 2-second lag. And so everybody's saying a different word and it all comes through at the same time. Thank you, everybody, for joining the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll now call upon Executive Director of Finance, Ms. Carrie Sikelski, to present the district's budget.
Is he still asleep?
Good evening, board members. Oops, apologies. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to just go over what's required for the budget hearing, which the first section is, truth in taxation. And so just to let Just to go over the L4029, the tax request for next fiscal year for your review again, and also for the public's notice. We will be levying the 18 mills of our operating school mills on non-homestead. That's the typical mills that we, as a school district, we levy. We will also be levying 1.18 mills for our sinking fund. We can levy up to 4, but we are reducing that to 1.18. And for our newly voted debt levy, we're going to levy 2.82 mills for our debt fund. And that's to cover the fiscal stability bond that was voted in March. Are there any questions about what we will be levying this year? Okay. Oops, sorry. And next, I'm going to go over our final budget for fiscal year 20. In the first column here, we have the original budget that you approved in June, our first amendment that was done in September. In the second column, in the third column is our second amendment for the year, which was approved in April. And then finally, the final budget, which hopefully will be approved tonight. Just as a reminder, I'll go over some of the assumptions. The first major assumption is the reduction in foundation allowance per pupil. We had a meeting today with Treasury where they spoke the 30-day window to make any adjustments to our state aid has not started. But there still is the $1.2 billion anticipated loss in the school aid fund, which is a reduction of between $650 and $700 per pupil per FTE. And so we have taken that reduction in our foundation allowance for this fiscal year. So that's a reduction, which is, you can see here, the 2.4 reduction. That's basically the reduction of that $700 per pupil. The other thing that we talked about was the increase in our other sources in revenue, and that's mainly due to fiscal stability bond, which I'm very happy to report went out today for investors to place orders. We are selling $30,620,000 within a few hours. We had orders almost totaling 60 million, so it went great. It went a lot faster than we anticipated, and we'll be finalizing that on June 29th as anticipated. So that was wonderful news today. As you can see, we have a lot of reductions in each of the different areas. This is mainly due to reduction in grants that we were unable to expend, and also due to our CARES grant or ESSER funds that we receive from the federal government, and we anticipate spending about 7.7 million of those funds this fiscal year. Based on that, we anticipate the year to end conservatively at 10.7 million in our fund balance. If we don't see the $700 reduction from in the foundation allowance, then obviously that fund balance will increase. We should not see a decrease. The next page, we went through the split. It's all general fund, but you're used to seeing general expenses, grant expenses, and special ed expenses separated. So I provided that information to you. And you can see here, we're overspending in special ed by $5.6 million for the year. Any questions for the final fiscal year 20 budget? Okay. The next one I'll go over is our initial budget for next year, fiscal 21. Again, I'm going to keep the foundation allowance even with this year with that 700 reduction. I didn't do an increase or a decrease. So again, if we see more money from the state, we will then obviously see an increase to our foundation allowance. You can see the big changes here in our other sources, again, because next year we won't have the fiscal stability bond, the TAN, the state note that really increased our revenues for the current fiscal year. And you do, even though we saw a reduction with our final, you see still some more reduction here. This added needs is quite a bit more. That's all grant funded. So don't be alarmed and think we're overspending there. That's all related to grants. But you can see here mostly all of the areas we're spending less than what we are spending currently for this year. So we are trying to look at those expenditures and see where we can decrease. Even with those things taken into place, whoops, I apologize, we do overspend by $12 million, and that gives us an ending fund balance projected for next year of $2.1 million. I've also included in your packet the split for next year for fiscal year 21. And just to highlight again, our special ed, you can see that greatly increases. It's overspending there, $8.2 million. Any questions for the fiscal year 21 initial budget? Okay. The next budgets that we have that need approval tonight are the food service fund. And we have the final budget here in the third column. We anticipate overspending $171,000, and that's mainly due to finishing up moving Central Kitchen over to Northwestern and in the capital outlay, the projects we had to do there to finish that project. So that'll give us an ending fund balance of $484,000. Next year for our initial FY21 budget, we've talked about the guarantee a little bit a couple meetings ago with Sodexo. They give us a $200,000 guarantee, which covers this part of our expenditures. The $3.5 million will pay them. We'll make 200 from there, but then we also have to cover our overhead costs of electricity and those types of things at Northwestern. So that does give us a profit there of 150. Any questions about food service?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Casey,
Yes, ma'am.
if we approve the budget for next year, can it be with the understanding that we're supposed to, because I requested a special meeting for us to go over that entire kitchen piece, because we're finding out more money is going to have to be spent. So should we, I know we have to approve everything and it has to be in by the end of this month, but that's with the understanding that this is coming to us real soon. Or have you had that conversation?
So what I'm hearing is basically we would approve this with the caveat that Central Kitchen could be taken off at a later date, depending on what we, maybe not taken off is the right word, but with us taking a harder look at the expenditures for Central Kitchen with a conversation through administration and ourselves, right? So approve this, but we want to dive into the expenses for Central Kitchen to make sure that they line up with where we believe they should. If they don't, then we'll relook at the Central Kitchen. Is that what you want? What you were?
Yeah, I guess
asking?
that's what I want, but I want it sooner than later.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can tell you that we are already working on collecting that information. Ayana's already had conversations with Sodexo, with Bernard and Michael to start compiling that. And our hope would be that, hopefully in the month of July to be able to at least present you the information and then work a schedule, get that scheduled for the workshop. So we've already started preparing and working on that.
Okay, but a question, and wouldn't to me, and maybe I'm just being hard, but to me, July is too late to even be to discuss it. We're approving a budget that has to be approved by the end of this month. And so pushing it off into July, what does that do for this budget? This budget might be out of whack when you all bring that information to us. Am I making sense, or does that not make sense?
Yeah, this budget does not include any additional outlay. So we are still working to see if we can get the equipment assistance grant from the state of Michigan, which is our hope to cover some more. I know there's hoods and ovens that are in question right now. So our hope is that we receive a grant for that. So this budget you're approving right now has no additional expenditures other than providing food and covering Sodexo.
But are we sure it's not going to be added?
I'm sure something will be added, yes.
Say that again.
I'm sure something will be added, yes.
See, that's what I'm talking about. So as soon as it's added, this budget for food is out of whack. Or am I missing something? Somebody help me out. Casey.
I think I'm a little lost as well. So we have the budget, and then let's say we have a conversation about Central Kitchen and either say, listen, we're not going to pay to add this, that, the other thing, then we have to redo the budget. Is that what you're asking?
No, we approve this budget. Then some other things have to be added to this budget, which will throw this budget out of whack. Now we are working with a deficit budget because what was added was not anticipated. So
Gotcha.
to me, it doesn't make sense. That information for me makes sense to bring it before the end of this month. But like I said, if I'm off beat, somebody tell me, but I don't think I am.
Betty, you're muted. Betty, you're muted. And you were going hard too, I saw it.
Yeah. No, I'm right, Vera. What you're asking is, this is a budget, but because of what's going on, can Sodexo add to it? And so then we don't have enough in the food budget. We're being charged more. So, that is a fair question, I believe. Am I right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because it'll throw this budget out of whack.
Okay, so the budget would be incorrect, and there would not, and it would than what we voted on. So I guess the thing to say is, I can approve it, but any further additions are could be subjected to negotiations. Is that helpful, or no, not at all?
I don't know. I don't want to approve this budget without getting that information to us prior. I don't mind of everything else, but it's this one, the information that was given to us in our workshop, that just has screwed everything up for me when it comes to the food budget. And I don't want to approve this, and then it is brought to us and it's another 100. Let's just say, and I'm just throwing a bad number out there, let's just say it's $200,000 more. This budget is not, we're not even within the budget then. So now we're in a deficit with this budget.
Well,
I get the information prior to approving this portion of the entire budget. Is that making sense, Casey?
Yeah,
well,
that makes perfect sense.
if Carrie, do you see being in that kind of situation?
Well, I think there's a larger conversation that needs to be had, and if we need to do it prior to 6:30, you know, we certainly can push for that, but I think the conversation about what's happening at Northwestern needs to be addressed before we can really determine what happens, what the food service budget is going to have to do to stay at Northwestern, or if we don't make the repairs needed. So I think those two conversations are really going hand in hand right now. And that's why we've just left that all off, because I think we have to decide as a board what, once you have all the information, which is what we're trying to gather for you, what it is that you think we should do with food service. So, but I think there's some more conversations that need to be had, and if we need to do them in the next 2 weeks, I'm sure, you know, we're able to, you know, we will do what we need to do to get you that information. So, it's hard for us to know without knowing what your decision is about that building.
Well, now that's a whole different ball game. Now I'm just talking about food services. I'm not talking about what we're going to be doing with the building.
Well, but part of the issues that we have at food service are related to the HVAC and the heating of that area and the ventilation. So that's where they kind of get entangled.
Okay, so, well, I don't think this board is going to agree that we should just dump this, because we're going to move completely out of Northwestern and put a central kitchen somewhere else. So, I mean, that would be totally absurd. And to me, if we did something crazy like that, I could see a recall on every doggone board member. But I just wish the information could come to us so we could make the decision about the ovens, the hoods, the whatever else is that we're going to have to do. For me, that's the only thing I'm concentrating on. But if there's another conversation saying we're totally leaving Northwestern to build another central kitchen, I'm not having that conversation.
No, I don't think that was, I don't remember that conversation at least. I don't think that was part of anything.
Well, that was sort of thrown out there a little bit. Am I next?
Can
Oh,
somebody
Diane,
put
I'm
it on the
sorry.
list too?
Your screen is frozen.
Pardon me?
Your screen was frozen, so I couldn't see if you were doing anything.
Casey, can you put me on the list too?
What do you
Who's
say, Blake?
speaking next? I can't. Who's speaking?
You
Diana,
are?
go ahead.
You're Mrs. Wright.
Oh, it's me?
Yes.
What I would like to know is, most of the work that was done at Central Kitchen was paid for with funds generated through food service. So that has been totally depleted, because initially we weren't spending all of the funds that were in that line. Carrie?
No, ma'am. We end our fund balance at the end of this year is we're budgeting 484,000.
Okay, so
we did not. We overspent this current year. We overspent, but we had a fund balance. We had a fund balance of 656 starting the year. So we still have a fund balance.
So can you just does it say? Can you show me where there that it shows how much we have actually spent on Central Kitchen? Which line?
It would not be on this document, no.
So that's not what capital outlay is? Or no, because it would be way more than that. But I know it's up, it's in the millions, right?
I believe the project, yes, was close to I'm not sure, because most of it happened prior to my arrival. But yeah, so this year we've paid 275,000.
Right. But I know it started out with, somewhere near $1 million.
Mrs. Wright, it
So-
was 750,000 was the initial price.
Right.
And then after
Right.
the change orders, after the adjustments to central kitchen's dimensions, and then in general, after Jeff Bennis kept telling us what he thought we needed and we really didn't need it, it got to be close to about 1.1.
Yeah.
So what I would like to see is if Ms. Sikelski and her team come up with information as it relates to Central Kitchen. I would like to see all of the original approvals of the board along with what is now being requested. Because I need to understand why, when we were given the plan included ovens and all of that stuff, either whether they were new or reusing some of what was already there. So I would like to know what happened to those plans and why they were changed, because obviously whoever was designing should have known if what was being brought from the old Central Kitchen was going to work or not, or if what was already at Northwestern. So I want to have more information about what happened here that's now causing us to have to go and do something different than what was in the original plan. So, which, I don't want to belabor the point in this meeting, but if we have another meeting related to this whole Central Kitchen issue, I would like all prior documents included in the discussion.
Diana, when we had our meeting last week, that was part of what we asked for we told administration we needed. We needed all that. So they've got all that. They just have to give us a meeting, but that meeting should not be in July.
I don't understand what you mean, not in July. You mean sooner than that?
They're getting the documents put together, and we would have that meeting in July. I think we need that meeting before this food budget is approved.
Well, I mean, we don't have any choice but to, the budget and the expenditures are two different things, right?
Not for me, but go ahead.
So, but even if we approve the budget, we're not approving the expenditures. So I think that discussion can happen later, because in order for any additional materials to be purchased for Central Kitchen, that's a whole nother approval process. Am I correct?
But
Correct.
you've already got your budget. You'll have your budget. Then you're going to be adding more expenditures on that budget, which is going to throw that budget out of whack.
But then later on, the budget is amended to cover that, right?
Yeah, but see, I don't want to go through all that because you don't know how much money. We don't know how much money they're going to be adding on. We don't know. That's where I am.
But we may not know, but we also have the ability to say yes or no to it. So that would take care of that. At least that's how I see it, But anyway,
What's your time frame do you think it would take to get all the information gathered that's being requested? How long of time do you think it would take to get everything put together?
I mean, if we wanted to do, I need to, through the end of next week. I'm not intimately working with them right now, so for that, I apologize. I didn't have that understanding on Monday that you needed that by June 30th, so my apologies. We'll definitely give this our full attention so that we can provide that. So hopefully we can have a meeting maybe like June 29th or something, would that be acceptable? And then we can, okay. So, yeah, and my apologies. I didn't realize it was a request for the end of this month. So I misunderstood.
Well, I don't think it was made that specific. So yeah, Blake.
Just a quick question. Kind of want to understand the argument, not argument, but Ms. Perry's concern and Mrs. Wright's concern. Mrs. Perry's concern is not to pass this until we get more information and clarity on the budget and expenses to make sure that they match, so that there are no additional fees that are attached to us. Mrs. Wright's concern was moving this forward because this is based on the budget and expenses will adjust as we need to. We can always make an amendment to the budget if we need to. Is that pretty much accurate?
Yeah,
That's
thanks
what
for
was said,
explaining
pretty
that
much.
for me.
You
Yeah,
said what I said and you said what she said.
yeah, you did.
Okay, because here's my question to Ms. Sakowski. In a nutshell, do we really know what's in the food service equipment that they keep requesting? Because if I'm not mistaken, we actually did do quite a bit of renovations and remakes on some of the equipment that they have in there, and purchased
Yeah.
equipment for them quite a bit, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And my question is, when will the equipment that they have be acceptable to them that we don't have to keep running out and buying new equipment every year? So my question is per se, have we really done an inventory, or are we allowing them to tell us what they need rather than us telling them what we're going to pay for?
So my understanding, as I mentioned, Ayana's already started this conversation with them to get up so that she can be up to speed and have a full understanding of what the concerns are, what it is that they feel that they need. Is that some of the equipment, when it was moved, there became an issue with it being up to code and we couldn't pass licensing. So there's some hood ventilation. So again, this is all secondhand information. This is just the first of the talks. So we have stressed to them that we're going to need the, what it is that they want, the cost, all of that in writing, and an explanation of what has changed from the original plan. And we're also going to be requesting the documentation. We're going to try to meet with Rachel in hopes that she has I'm sure she has all of this information so that we can all start going through it. And she probably has a better history, obviously, than what we will from the district's point of view. So that's our plan of attack, so that we can provide all information to you and obviously have Sodexo available for your questions about the equipment and what is necessary. So that was our plan, and these are great, valid questions, and we're happy to provide all of this information because I'm a true believer that you need all of the information to make good decisions. So that's what I want to provide for you.
And thank you, because my question had more to do with the redundancy, and I know that some board members have been saying that for years, that we do purchase 3 or 4 of the same equipment just because someone said we need to do it. And with Central Kitchen, I see that as happening again because Sodexo may say it's needed, but yet in reality, if we already purchased it, renovated it, then and it was under the request of Sodexo to do it that way. I can't remember what meeting it was, Mrs. Perry or Mrs. Wright or Mrs. Ramsdale, but I remember it was a meeting that Sodexo and Bernard Gladney came to us, and they suggested that instead of purchasing new equipment, that they could just renovate and rehab the equipment so that it would be better for them in the long run, because they were saying we don't know how long we'll be there, and because we don't know how long we'll be there, we don't want to add additional monies to the district to have to do something that we don't. So some of this, it may come out that they actually were the ones that spearheaded this campaign. So, I'm not saying that they're totally that they are totally held on the hook for this, but what I would like to see is that, I don't want duplication of equipment just because they say, the newest oven is available and it's only $15,000, and they feel they can get $15,000 from us, or because a new serving tray is only $800, they can get a new serving tray on us. That's what I want to make sure is that we're not duplicating certain things in our building. So.
Mr. Lester?
Yes, ma'am.
Blake, some of what you're saying is true, and I recollect too, though, that they discovered that some of that equipment was just too old and could not be moved and would not fit, all of those kinds of things. So it sounds to me like what Carrie was saying in conjunction with Vera and and Diana was saying was, what have we got? And what you're saying is, what have we got? Then there has to be something working because it worked all last year, right? What have we got? And do we need anything new? And if we do, what? So I think that we need to take this point, if we can take this point by point by point, just go right down the line again. What do we have? What do we need and why? And how did we operate last year without it? So where do we stand? And what do we need? And then we could go ahead and do that. And what Ms. Wright said was true. We can approve this, but knowing that that any additions to it would come under full scrutiny of the board with questions and answers. Is that kind of does that kind of make sense to people?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if they can have it at the, by, if we can start on that and know where it lies, would that be helpful to all of us? What they have, what they might need, and why do we need it if we worked at full speed? Didn't we work at full speed and full capacity last year? Okay, either everybody or.
Sorry.
I don't know. Okay.
Could you repeat that, Mrs. Ramsdale?
I'm just saying that what we need to do is find out what do they need? Is what they need
Oh, no,
part
I
of
meant just the last sentence, because I didn't hear the last sentence. I'm sorry, not
okay.
the whole thing.
If it functioned all last year, what changes do we need this year, and why do we need to make those changes? Is it because I have to or want to?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, so I think everybody's got their takeaways, Ms. Sikowski, if you don't mind progressing.
Sure. And our last budgets are for the Student Activities Fund. And first column is the original budget that was approved last June. Our final budget is in the third column. And again, as I mentioned the other day, that looks like a lot of revenues. It's just a combination of combining some of the funds due to the GASB 84 changes. And then next year, our initial budget for next year student activities is in the fourth column. And again, this is a regulated fund that we keep all activities separate, and the groups that earn the money have the right to spend the money on student activity related. So if they're doing fundraisers for prom, then that goes into the prom account, and that's what they can spend it for. If it's the fourth grade class at Pierce to go to the Detroit Zoo, then that's what happens to it, and that's where how they spend that. Any questions about student activities?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Student activities, including sports for this upcoming year, would those be canceled for the foreseeable future, or will we see a reduction in those?
I'm sorry, you're asking about the sports accounts?
Sports accounts, student activities, field trips, would that be canceled due to social distancing requirements by the federal government? Well, not federal, but from the state government?
I think we heard from Jamie today in a meeting that it looks like we're going to be okay to do fall sports. So unless something changes between, obviously if there's a second spike or something, there could be some changes, but I believe MHSAA is giving the indication that we're in the region that will have fall sports. Field trips, I'm not 100% sure, but if they don't spend it, just like this year, they didn't spend as much as what we originally anticipated or what we think they'll spend next year. And obviously we just hold it, and hopefully they'll be able to use it at some point for some fun activity.
Thank you.
All right, well, that is my budget hearing presentation. And unless there's any other questions, I will hand it back to you, President.
Thank you, Mrs. Skalski. I'd like to entertain a motion in a second to approve the minutes and batch from the May 2020 regular board meeting through June 12th, 2020 special board meeting.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Are there any corrections? Seeing none, the motion to approve the minutes and batch will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes or no to approve the minutes and batch. Vice President Wright,
Yes.
Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
Treasurer Green, are you still with us? Trustee McIntosh,
Yes.
Trustee Perry,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier,
Yes.
myself, yes. Motion passes 6-0. Now we will receive a communique from Interim Superintendent Stewart.
Good evening. I am proud to report enrollment for the 2021 school year is underway. We are encouraging families to enroll online through the www.flintschools.org website, but are also accommodating face-to-face enrollment by appointment only, utilizing strict safety measures to protect participants and staff. We have asked that those who wish to enroll in person limit the number of people brought in for appointment, wear masks, and allow the district to take their temperature upon arrival. Temperature must be below 100.4 degrees. Families are also required to complete a form to ensure they have not been exposed to COVID-19. In addition to enrollment efforts, the Return to School Committee is hard at work developing a plan for the next school year to ensure the safe reopening of Flint Community Schools, whether in person, virtual, or a combination of the two. Parents, administrators, teachers, and even several of you, our board members, are involved in the process to ensure we consider all aspects of a successful reopening. I will share those plans as they are finalized, anticipated the end of June. We are also anticipating, as announced today from the governor, that she will have a plan to share with districts by the end of the month. As you may have seen on social media, Flint Community Schools is offering virtual summer learning for students in grades K through 12. More information can be found on our social media pages and on the district's website. We are encouraging families to take advantage of the creative learning opportunities to keep their children engaged over the next 2 months. Lastly, Thursday, tomorrow, is the last day of school for our students. We wish our families, administrators, teachers, and staff a safe summer and look forward to their return in the fall. I am grateful for parents who have chosen Flint Community Schools as their partner in their child's education. Please note, tomorrow also brings our normal feeding program to a close. Food distribution will be shut down next week as they transition to summer feeding. Please visit our website, www.flintschools.org, for information on the summer food distribution sites and times for the summer feeding, which starts June 29th. Thank you and have an amazing summer.
It sounds like the announcements from church, how they do it.
It does, doesn't it?
These are your church announcements. Casey, we're working on that with my church, so that's why I thought it was kind of funny. So, Ms. Stewart, if you're looking for a voice over, we'd love to have you.
I'd
Look,
like to make
please go.
one suggestion. Instead of saying feeding, could we come up with a better word? It kind of sounds like you're feeding the chickens today. Could we come up with maybe a little bit, or summer food program or something like that? Just
Yes,
a little,
ma'am.
just a little caveat.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't trying to be critical. I think you guys do a wonderful job. So my apologies if that sounded critical at all.
Oh, no, not at all. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Interim Superintendent Stewart. At this time, the board will hear any comments from the public regarding agenda items. Public members that have joined our meeting remotely are able to submit their questions through the question section or may send an email prior to the meeting. Members of the public are reminded that the Board of Education, by its bylaw 1370, are not obligated to answer questions, make statements, or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such issues will be referred to the interim superintendent for investigation, study, or recommendation. At this time, I will ask Stephen if there are any comments from the public.
Good evening again. There are still no questions in the program or in the email.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate your announcement. The public is reminded that you may submit your questions by email to fboe@flintschools.org to have your questions, comments read at the next meeting. Thank you. At this time, I would like to move to approve items in batch that we had discussed at our meeting last week. Is any opposition to that?
Which items in batch?
Say that again?
You mean from finance?
Yeah, well, I mean, everything that we're going through, human resources, finance.
I don't want to, well, I don't want to do human resources. I'd like those, the personnel recommendations separate, please.
Okay,
The rest of it I'm fine with.
okay. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion a second to approve the action items that were discussed last week. Human resources action item 1.8.
So moved.
Second.
Is it moved and properly seconded? At this point, I will conduct a roll call vote. Vice President Wright.
Discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? I apologize. Thank you, Vera. My script is all messed up, and so I not because of anything. It's just, yeah. Anyway, discussion.
Could the grants account business office, what is that? What is this person going to be doing? And does this will this interfere with our federal and state grants? I mean, how does this person work there? Work with that? As I guess that's what I'm trying to answer.
Is Cassandra on?
Nope.
I'm here. I'm sorry. Good
there you
evening, board members. I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute myself. Okay, so this is a position that was presented during the job analysis process. And what this position will be doing is they would serve as the individual who would be overseeing the grants in regards to ensuring that there is a checks and balance in place with regards to drawdowns and expenditures, and
Because
also
Kiana can't do that plus write the grants, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I remember that conversation now. Thank you.
Is there any more discussion? Seeing no discussion, the motion.
Pardon me?
I thought you asked.
Did you have?
No, I just asked that we vote on them separately. I don't have any other discussion questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So the motion is on, or the vote is on the motion to approve action item 1.8 personnel recommendations. Vice President Wright.
Don't we have to vote on them separately, each individual?
I did 1.8 personnel recommendations.
So there are 3 different things in it, right?
Oh,
We want to vote on each name separate. I think.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
Let me pull up my.
But Miss, are you looking at it, Miss Washington?
Yes.
So Casey, maybe you can have her call the names and
Okay.
then.
Oh, there you go. Don't be afraid to jump in and save me if I'm drowning, Miss Washington. Hop in here.
Not a problem. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. My PDF went away. Oh, gosh. Come on. I'm sorry. I apologize. I have it up, but my PDFs seem to go away. Let me reopen it back. I apologize for the delay.
Ms. Washington, are you looking for the position or are you looking for the name?
I'm looking for the names.
Okay, so if we're gonna go one by one, the first one is Grants Account Business Office, Ms. Angela Turkhurst.
Vice President Wright,
No.
Trustee Perry,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier,
Yes.
Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
and Trustee McIntosh.
Yes.
And a yes for me. The motion passes 5-0. 5-1. 5-1.
The next one is for change of assignment. It is the data tech, and that is Ms. Dina Sains.
Vice President Wright,
Yes.
Trustee McIntosh,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier,
Yes.
Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
Trustee Perry.
Yes.
A yes for me. The motion passes 6-0.
The next one is for a 3% temporary salary increase, and it's for the admin assistant, and it's Rachel Renaud.
Vice President Wright,
No, only because of the start date.
thank you. Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier,
Yes.
Trustee McIntosh,
No, because we agreed when the pandemic started that we pay her 3% starting at that time. And how it got retroactive, I don't know, but no for me too, because of that. Other than that, it would be a yes.
okay. Thank you, Ms. McIntosh. Trustee Perry,
Oh. I'm torn. I'm torn on this one. I'm gonna say no.
that's a yes for me. The motion passes. Oh, wait a minute. No,
It doesn't pass.
does it?
It's 3-3.
Yeah.
So on a tie, does that mean it fails?
It fails because of well, it's 3-3 because it didn't pass. Either a person on the other side would have to change their vote, or it would go ahead and pass, or it would go ahead and fail.
Why can't we make it retroactive from the day we all agreed on back here in March, and then it could pass?
Can the timeline be amended now?
I'm good with amending the timeline. I would change my vote if it's amended from the time or even to January, but not from October.
You know, can you make a motion then, Ms. Wright, either a January? Because I'd go with that.
Okay, I would like to amend Ms. Renaud's 3% to a start date of January rather than October.
Second.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, I thought she was making the motion.
That what, I don't know.
Oh. Yeah, it has been moved and properly seconded either way to amend the start date. So do we re-vote on it then now?
Yes.
Okay.
So that I'm clear,
Vice President.
what was the date amended to, Mrs. Wright?
January.
January what though? What day did school start back up in January?
Whatever time we started working January.
Okay, let's say that. Make it clear.
Got it. Thank you.
Vice President Wright,
Yes.
Secretary Ramsdell.
I'm going to vote yes. I would rather we'd done the original, but I just wanted to have an increase, and that satisfies me.
Trustee Strozier?
I'm going to agree with Mrs. Ramsdell. I believe that anybody on the board that has done the work or has been in GM or has worked in the school district and done your due diligence all this time, that you should be compensated for what you have done. And I believe that this is not right. I believe that it is not fair. But because I believe this will at least give her at least hope, a portion of the hard work she's done since she's been in the position, I will vote for it. But I want to say that I do believe that at my job, if I'd done the work all this time from October, I would be ready to hand in my resignation on the next day.
Yeah.
And that's just
So that was a
Wah, 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 wah.
Trustee McIntosh?
Yes, for the new amended date. Yes, from that date, January.
Trustee Perry?
Yes.
And that's a yes for me. The motion passes 6-0.
Uh-oh, did you guys get that?
And it wasn't one. That's just my opinion, Mrs. McIntosh.
No, I'm saying that because I can't hear you because it's breaking up. It's not.
I just want to clarify,
directly
it
at
wasn't
you.
111. It was definitely just me giving my opinion on just something that I feel.
I'm
So
sorry,
if there's
Mr.
no amends, no amends.
I'm sorry. Can y'all hear me?
Okay.
Did everybody vote? Casey is breaking up. I can't hear.
Yep, everybody voted. The motion passed 6-0.
Okay.
So now the motion is on 1.9, authorization to extend staffing service contract agreements. Is there any discussion?
So
Oh,
moved.
shoot.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, the vote will be conducted via roll call vote. Diana Wright,
Yes.
Betty Ramsdell,
Yes.
Blake Strozier,
Yes.
Carol McIntosh,
Yes.
Vera Perry,
Yes.
and it's a yes for me. The motion passes 6-0. Can I get a motion to second to approve action item 1.10, approval of healthcare services extension agreement?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. The vote will be conducted via roll call vote. Diana Wright,
Yes.
Betty Ramsdell,
Yes.
Carol McIntosh,
Yes.
Blake Strozier,
Yes.
Vera Perry.
Yes.
It's a yes for me. The motion passes 6-0. So there was no other issue with things in batch, correct?
No.
Okay.
No other issue. Right.
So can I get a motion in a second to the action items in batch that we were discussed last week would be finance action items 11.40 through 11.88, board committee the whole action items 21.19 through 21.21, academics action item 25.3 through 25.11.
So moved.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded that we approve all action items in batch. Is there any discussion?
Does that include the budget?
No, we'll have to vote on those individually.
Okay.
That's 11.34 to 11.39, so we'll vote on
Okay.
those in a minute.
Okay.
there any more discussion? Seeing no further discussion, the motion to approve finance action items 11.40 through 11.88, board committee of the whole action items 21.19 and 21.21, and academics action items 25.3 through 25.11 in batch will be conducted by a roll call vote. As I call your name, please say yes to approve, or nay to not approve. Vice President Wright,
Yes.
Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
Trustee McIntosh. Trustee McIntosh? Trustee Perry?
Yes.
Trustee Strozier?
Yes.
And it's a yes for me. Trustee McIntosh, can you?
You know what? The phone went out again. I'm sorry, Blake, for that one stuff, but the sound keeps going out. It comes in and out and cut in and out. I don't even know what y'all voting on at this point because it went out like for a long time.
This is to approve the action items in batch from last week.
Okay, yes.
The motion passes 6-0. Okay, now Ms. Washington, can you present the action items? Oh, wait.
I think
Point
that'd
of
be
order.
me, right?
Yes, Carrie, thank you.
Yeah. Sure, no problem. I seek your approval to move action item number 11.34, approval of fiscal year 20 final general fund budget amendment.
So moved. So moved.
Seconded. It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve action item 11.34. The vote will be conducted via roll call vote. Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
Vice President Wright,
Yes.
Trustee Perry,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier, Trustee Strozier, Trustee McIntosh,
Yes.
Blake, are you there?
I think he stepped away.
Okay, the motion passes 5-0. It's a yes for me as well. Sorry, the motion passes 5-0.
Great, thank you. I seek
All
your
right, sorry.
approval. Oops. Go ahead.
He back, Casey.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Sorry.
I seek your approval to approve action item fiscal year 21 initial general fund budget.
So moved.
Seconded. It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve action item 11.35. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, the vote will be conducted via roll call vote. Vice President Wright,
Yes.
Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
Trustee Perry,
Yes.
Trustee McIntosh,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier.
Yes.
And it's a yes for me. The motion passes 6-0.
I seek your approval to approve action item 11.36, approval of fiscal year 20 final budget for the food service fund.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve action item 11.36. Vote will be conducted via roll call vote. Vice President Wright,
Yes.
Trustee McIntosh,
Yes.
Trustee Perry,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier,
Yes.
Secretary Ramsdell.
Yes.
And it's a yes for me. The motion passes 6-0.
I seek your approval to approve action item 11.37, initial or fiscal year 21 proposed budget for food service fund.
So moved.
Didn't we just?
Oh,
do that?
wait. We tabled that, didn't we, until we met at a later date?
Yeah. Got some more information at the end of the month, didn't we?
I don't think we decided that.
Yeah,
I thought
we
We
I thought
talked
we
about it, but
tabled
we
it
didn't.
last week.
I thought we were gonna do, they're right, I thought we were gonna do a meeting on this at the end of next week. Is that
Correct.
Is that correct, Carrie?
So we got all information.
We're gonna table this one.
Correct, 11.37.
Alrighty. I seek your approval to approve action item 11.
Isn't this the one that's due like in a week or so? Isn't this the budget that's due to the state?
Yep, we have to approve a budget before June 30th.
So will we have, if we have a meeting, if we table this, we'll have to have another meeting to approve this before June 30th, right?
That's
If we get our
correct.
information, we can vote that night.
Okay. Okay.
I seek your approval to approve action item 11.38, approval of fiscal year 20 final budget for the Student Activities Fund.
So moved.
Second it.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, the vote to approve action item 11.38 will be done via roll call. Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier,
Yes.
Trustee Perry,
Yes.
Trustee McIntosh,
Yes.
Vice President Rice.
Yes.
Motion passes it's a yes for me. The motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. I seek your approval to approve action item 11.39, approval of fiscal year 21 initial budget for the Student Activities Fund.
So moved.
Second it.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve action item 11.39. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, the vote will be conducted via roll call vote. Vice President Wright,
Yes.
Secretary Ramsdell,
Yes.
Trustee Perry,
Yes.
Trustee McIntosh,
Yes.
Trustee Strozier.
Yes.
And it's a yes for me. The motion passes 6-0.
That's it for me, President Lester.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Kelsey. I appreciate your time.
Thank
Point-
you.
point of
Thank
order.
you all.
Wait, time out. Does it, the information items, Ms. Carey? The information,
Apologize. Yep, I didn't
Yeah.
scroll down. My apologies. I've provided it for informational items, the May check register. Are there any questions about the May check register?
I didn't glance at that tonight, so I may have a question. At the other meeting we're gonna have.
Sure, or feel free to email me or call me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I've provided the May 2020 balance sheet and budget versus actual. Are there any questions about those? And then I also provided our monthly EDEP submission. It really is the same information from the budget versus actual, but in the state format. Okay, and again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact me. I'm more than happy to go over the information provided. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kelsey.
Thank you.
Before we adjourn, I would like to give the public an additional opportunity to address the board. Stephen, has there
Don't
been
we have
any?
academic, don't we have some more?
Did it in batch.
Yay.
I
Wait a
thought
minute,
we were,
don't we have to approve the Flint board? Oh, so we did all that.
okay.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
about,
That was my
And the
understanding.
promotion of students, we did that too?
no, did we?
no, the 21.12,
Yeah,
President
expulsion is-
Lester, seek a motion and a second to approve.
21.
21.21.
21.21. Okay. I seek a motion, a second to approve action item 21.21, the expulsion of students.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded that we approve action item 21.21. The vote will be conducted via roll call. Vice President Wright?
Yes.
Say that again?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I couldn't, for some reason it cut out for a second. Secretary Ramsdell?
Yes.
Trustee McIntosh?
Yes.
Trustee Perry?
Yes.
Trustee Stroger?
Yes.
And that's a yes for me. Thank you very much, Ms. Perry, for keeping me on task with that stuff. I would have messed that whole thing up. Thank you. Okay, at this point, before we adjourn, I would like to give the public an additional opportunity to address the board. Stephen, are there any comments or questions that have been posted?
No further comments or questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Just a reminder to the public that you can submit your comments to the email fboe@flintschools.org. We will read submitted comments at the next board meeting. Are there any remarks from individual board members?
Comment.
Mr. Stroger?
First of all, speaking, this is the last meeting before the official end of school. I want to wish all of our students a happy, healthy summer. Even though they've already been out for quite a few months, so I'm sure that this will just be a regular day for them tomorrow. But this has definitely been a trying time for every one of us, not just on the school board, but even us personally, professionally, and physically. So my prayers are with every one of you. Even in the midst of this, we still overcame it. And my prayers are still with our teachers, who I also consider frontline because they've actually gone over above and beyond their call to go out and visit students, be with families. If there was a need, they tried to supply it. So to them, I definitely give them many kudos on support for this community. So to all of you that may be listening, to all those families, thank you for being with us this year. It's been trying, but we've definitely made it to the end. To our seniors, I wasn't able to go to the graduation, but to all of you, you can definitely be grateful that you graduated in the pandemic year of 2020. And that just means that you are deemed for greatness. The graduating class that was born in the middle of a national crisis of 9/11 is the graduating class that exited high school in the midst of a pandemic. So it's definitely to be admirable that we can expect great things from that class. So to them, to our students, have a wonderful summer. Hopefully in August, this will be the backdrop of us having a wonderful school year. And so to all of you, I definitely bid you the best for the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stroger. Ms. McIntosh?
I just like to say to all of our students, with everything that's going on in our communities, all the activism, all the protesting, all the marching, please be safe out there, be mindful, be positive, be receptive. When you run into people, authoritative figures, be mindful. Keep in mind where we're facing. Stay positive for the students that are graduating. It is truly your time now because you are in uncharted waters. You're writing the book on how to do this. So you're the expert at this time. Own it. Own it. This is a good time to be graduating, going to college, and all of those things. And I'd like to say to my fellow board, it's been awesome hanging in there with you guys. And Blake, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude to you. That wasn't for you tonight. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. McIntosh. Ms. Perry?
Blake, have you left?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to defer to Blake, but I'm going to make the statement. It's my fault that I don't remember our student's name, but I believe Blake would remember the name of our young man who passed, that second grader.
Second grader at Brownell. What was his name? I'm sitting next to Mrs. Stroger, so that's why I looked. The second grader that had the asthma attack.
Oh,
his service was yesterday.
I didn't know that.
Jeremiah Pascal.
Jeremiah Pascal. Could we do a moment of silence for one of our babies?
Miss Perry, he was in the first grade. Jeremiah Pascal.
First grade. Okay. Could we do a moment of silence?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Now,
you.
secondly, I just want to say, just to piggyback off of what Ms. McIntosh said, it did my heart good to see young people, whether they were Flint Community School students or any of our fellow county schools, the students that were involved in the peaceful protests that we had. I want everyone to realize, just like the people back in the 50s and early 60s sitting at the counters to eat because they weren't allowed to eat in those restaurants, they made history. You all have made history. This will go down in the record books, not only for the pandemic, but also for the
Resilience.
respect and abuse that people of color have had to endure. And I want you all to walk proudly, and as she said, be aware, be conscious of everything. But you all are writing history. Your kids will be reading about this when they get older. So just walk proud with your head high. That's all.
Well said, Miss Perry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perry. A couple things on my side. I'm going to echo what everybody has said, and just what an amazing job for everybody that was a part of this school year, and what an impressive ability to be resilient and to push through. So just awe-inspiring to think about the work that's gone in, and everything. You know, we always talk about the adults and how working from home has changed and this and that, but the kids' lives have just been kind of torn upside down, and sometimes they don't get thought about in that respect, because we think, oh, they're just going home to stay at home, but there's so much more to it than that. And so what a phenomenal job from our team that has been able to make sure that our children still received a top-notch education, and I can't say thank you enough to everybody who's had a hand in that. Secondly, again, echoing what Carol and Vera and everybody said, be cautious, be smart, be alert, but be active, right? Be a part of it. Don't hesitate. Don't be quiet. Be loud. Let your voice be heard, because that is how we truly change the bad things that happen. I was in a discussion on Facebook, which that was my fault for even getting involved in, but somebody had said that made a claim that I didn't, care for our country or things of that nature. And I said, it's the exact opposite, that I love our country. I love our country so much that I want it to get better and to continue to improve by shining a light on the dark areas that we have and the injustices that we see every day. And I love my country so much, I'm willing to stand up and let it know when it's wrong. And it was a Facebook argument, so we all know how that ends. But I will also say to our administration that at separate times throughout this entire thing, I have needed something from Carrie, I've needed something from Ms. Washington, I've needed something from Rachel, from Anita, from everybody, and more importantly, I needed a team collectively, right? Because as the president of this board, newly elected, I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was going on through this entire pandemic and any of that. And I couldn't be prouder of the administration, who literally held my hand as if I was a whining child and dragged me through this stuff to teach me how this thing works. And so I'm very impressed with the team that's here and the focus they've put, and that they refuse to take part in a downturn of society, right? They refuse to take part in the pandemic. They refuse to take part in negativity, and they continue to work very hard and move forward. So that being said, I really want to let you know that I just appreciate every second that you've put in to make sure that the school district continues to run in a top-notch fashion. And lastly, I am roughly 2 weeks away from having another child. So this is going to be the last time you see my smiling face, I think, until August, because I'm going to take the month of July off to spend with my beautiful wife and my beautiful kids, and super excited about everything. And I will be sure to send pictures once this man comes into the world screaming and angry about everything in general.
We don't have meetings in July then, hopefully.
Preferably, because I want to spend some time with this little lady over here.
That our next board committee of the
Well,
whole meeting will be held Wednesday, July 8th. So-
Don't we meet by the end of the month for some things? Yeah,
For that
Okay.
food budget.
yes.
Yeah.
And we have a special meeting next week.
Yeah, especially next week too.
So no meetings in July.
Committee of the whole meeting, July 8th.
Mrs. Rice got it if you need it, man. Spend some time with the spend some time with the
Wait,
family.
no, you have to say no meetings in July. I
Hey,
got you.
but the way things are, we have to have,
Yeah, I know. We have to have a meeting every month. I'm just teasing Mr. Lester.
Okay.
Good
All right,
luck
that
to you
being
and your
said,
lovely wife.
everybody,
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you
Is
very
that his like?